But Nigeria's big elections, the official results obviously came in some time ago in favor of Bola Tinubu and the APC, but now it's mired in legal challenges and lamentations of almost biblical proportions, yet the inauguration is going ahead because that's the law. But is it a moral, ethically sound law? Is it a fair rule?
Charles, I think it's too late in the day to cry or bemoan our fate. Since 2010, we have engaged in a consistent campaign for far-reaching electoral reforms along the lines suggested, the recommendations of the Ways panel, which I had said on this forum. Those recommendations were adopted by the panel set up by President Jonathan following the crisis that attended the 2011 presidential election.
Yaradua.
Yeah, no, it was Ways panel was set up by President Yaradua.
Right.
President Jonathan set up the Ahmed Lemu panel,
right,
which adopted the recommendations of
yes, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Ways wholesale. Again, President Buhari set up the Ken Namani panel, which also adopted the basic recommendations of the Ways panel.
Yeah.
But to master the political will, to implement these recommendations have always been the problem. Because the people in power want to take advantage of the loopholes in the law, including those who are complaining now. And if you look at the dramatics personnel, which of them has not enjoyed what we are criticizing now? Governor Bola Tinubu, Vice President Atiku, Peter Obi, in fact more than anybody, had their elections challenged. And when those elections were challenged, they were in power. This is the position. What the respected Cardinal Onayeka is talking about is what in law we call delegate ferenda as opposed to delegate. You know, what the law is as opposed to what the law should be. For me, I've always believed that all election petitions should be concluded before the inauguration of an incoming government. But again, this time it's not limited to the president-elect. All the governors who have been elected, including the LP Labour Party governorship candidate and governor-elect
in Abia State.
In Abia State will be sworn in. All the legislators who have been declared winners of the election on the platform of PC, APC, PDP, Labour Party, and all of them will also be inaugurated on the 29th
right. But for the benefit of our audience who may not know these things, what is the law as it stands today with regard, for example, to the presidential now, tribunal? I mean, because, I mean, there are different time frames for each level, aren't there?
But at the Court of Appeal level.
Right, so that's another 6 months.
No. For the presidential election,
right,
it starts at the Court of Appeal. And then you have an option to go to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
So if you have 180 days in the Court of Appeal, you have additional 2 months, 60 days in the Supreme Court.
Right.
In the case of governorship, which is the only one that allows for 3 stages.
Yeah.
You go to the election petition tribunal for 180 days, Court of Appeal for 60 days, Supreme Court for 60 days. That's keeping the governor in office for 10 months.
Yeah.
While his opponent or his opponents are fighting the legitimacy of his election. So this is the position. In fact,
the 6 months is the limit. So
yes,
it doesn't have to last that long, does it?
No, it doesn't have to last that long.
I mean, I'm wondering why the courts don't, I mean, they don't have to take up the entire time. I mean, they can move a lot quicker than they are. That's the argument that some of your colleagues are making.
Again, because of the way and manner people take advantage of the provisions of the law. You file a petition, right, Charles, challenging the return made by INEC. Because the onus is on you to prove that the election was not properly conducted. Yes. I have problems with that. What happens? To serve your opponent is a laborious exercise. To get the materials from the electoral body is problematic. In Rivers State, I'm sure you are aware that some of the lawyers who were preparing an election petition to challenge the governorship election were arrested. And Governor Wike came out to justify it. Two tribunals now. The governorship election, the governorship tribunal, election petition tribunal, in Rivers State and Ebonyi State, have relocated to Abuja because the environment is hostile.
You were one of the people who, over time, pushed for electoral reform, and are still pushing for it. That's why you had this new Electoral Act, 2022, that was brought in. What is it that prevented the Waste Panel report from being incorporated into it, as far as this part of it is concerned? I mean, when it was clear that it would significantly restore credibility to the electoral process and usher in sort of free and fair elections in Nigeria.
I think, unfortunately, the man who set up the panel, that's the Electoral Reform Panel, the late Yaradua, could not implement the provisions.
Yeah, but I'm wondering why it wasn't incorporated into the Electoral
all the
Act.
other regimes, successive regimes, have preferred to retain the status quo because they profit from it.
Right.
Yeah. That's it.
And
all the legislators also want to take advantage of the loopholes in the system to keep themselves in office.
Yeah.
Waste Panel was pushing was that we should have enough time, let's say 6 months, conduct the elections 6 months before inauguration, so that all the petitions will have been concluded.
Yeah.
That was it. But now I am saying
that even at this the way it is now, you can speed the process up.
In this case, you conduct elections in February, right? If you embrace technology and make it work, we can conclude election petitions in 14 days or 21 days.
But what you're saying requires a constitutional amendment, or it doesn't?
For me, I think it requires... No, of course, it does require constitutional amendment. Because right now, the Constitution provides for 6 months. At the time that provision was entrenched in the Constitution, the drafters never thought we were going to go electronic. So if it is working in Kenya and some other African countries,
absolutely,
why can it not work in Nigeria?
Well, let me ask you to...
Unless, for instance, I'm talking of the presidential election.
Sure.
If you have gone electronic, you don't need to go to the Court of Appeal. Now, if you've gone electronic, you don't need to have governorship elections, right? You don't need to have 3 stages. Now, that is the only one. It's only the governorship election that will start from the election petition tribunal to the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. All the others, 2 stages. So we need to also have a uniform electoral act that will capture the fears of Nigerians.